Hello everyone, and this is June here, and I am back with my another video on frequently asked questions by the new aspiring teachers and new teachers who have just started teaching. And with me, I have a newbie, Funny, who is never short of any questions. So I hope, guys, you have found our previous videos really useful, especially the new teachers who are undergoing training or who have just started teaching. So let's hear from Funny. So hi, Funny.
Hello, June. I'm back with a few
Hello.
more questions.
Few more questions. Okay, he's like a magic box, isn't it? He's always full of like Santa's boxes, full of questions. All right. Okay, so let's start and let me hear what you have for all of us today.
Okay. To start with, I have experienced a situation while teaching online. While
Uh-huh.
teaching online, my student asked me a question to which I didn't know the perfect answer. And I just told him, okay, we'll look into that later on. But I was not satisfied with my answer. So, what to do? How to deal such situations when a learner asks you a question and you don't know the answer?
Yes, I can completely relate to this. It has happened with me a couple of times. And my first message to all the teachers will be prepared, because students in today's time, they're wise, because whether they are young learners, high young learners, or high school or adult learners, in today's time I've personally seen that when you are teaching something, they're doing the little research, on the internet, provided if they are carrying a laptop or a mobile phone, or even when they go back home, they are doing their research. I'm not saying that all of them do it, but yes, high chances that you might face some questions, and it is always very good them asking questions. Remember, when the student is asking you questions, very often I've heard from the teachers, they feel that the students they are testing our knowledge and they feel disrespectful. That is not the case. Even if they are testing your knowledge, what's the harm? We are also testing them continuously, aren't we? So even if they are
Yes.
testing them, no harm, right? You can always deal with it effectively. So the first point, the point here is that when you are facing such a question that you are not prepared and you are not even sure about the answers, rule number one, acknowledge the question. Because if you have faced a question which is relevant, but you are not sure about the answer, you must definitely give that student a credit that it's an intelligent question, right? So the first is acknowledge and say, wow, that's a very good question, right? Now, when you are acknowledging it and you're saying that, wow, that's a very good question, immediately the student will feel that, oh, my question is respected. I am respected, right? So even
Okay.
if the student had that notion of testing you, you are actually filtering it down, right? So let the learner have that sense of happy feeling. All right. Next step is, don't reveal that you are not aware or you have not heard of it before. All right. So what you can do, it depend on the age group. You can try this if you are dealing with adults, or you're dealing with high school students or even adolescents. And you might say that, well, is there anybody in the house or in this room who would like to answer this question? Okay, let's hear. Now, if you see there's no response, then you say, okay, then let's do one thing. Let me throw this question to everybody because it's a very good question. So I want all of you to give a thought on this. Instead of me giving you the direct answer, I want all of us to ponder on it, and we can come back the next day and we share what we have found or what we have to say or what was our research on. In that way, what are you doing? You are also buying time to look for the answer. Second, you're including everybody, and everybody is busy looking for the answers because everybody wants to come up with the best answer, naturally. And the next day when you're sharing it, you as a facilitator, you are gaining more knowledge, because by that time you will have probably 20, 25 different answers. All right. So
Okay.
that's
Yes.
one. Yeah. And another thing is that sometimes students can be cheeky and they might ask you questions which is irrelevant. So what you do is you will still acknowledge. Acknowledging is a must, and you say, all right, I do hear you. However, this is not directly related to the lesson that we are focusing at the moment. So let's finish what we are doing, and I can come back on that later to you. I hope that is fine.
Yeah.
That's perfectly justified. Okay. Right.
Okay.
And third is, if you feel that, oh, the question is really difficult and something really unusual, and you are very sure even nobody in the class have also heard of, you might still say that, wow, that sounds pretty interesting. I'm hearing it for the first time. Is there anyone in the room who is aware of this term, or have you heard of it? And if at most of the time you would see everybody saying that no, we have not heard of it. So what you can do is, okay, now that's something I have never heard of it, so you will have to give me a day's time. I will come back to you on this again with my little research. So there are three probabilities depending on the nature of the question your students is asking.
Okay. That
Clear?
was really smart. I'll definitely
You have
acknowledge
to
my
be smart.
students.
You have to be smart. Now everybody knows my little secret.
Yes. I'll never forget to
Okay.
acknowledge my students from now on.
But you know what, funny, let me tell you that even if I did know the answer, very often I would not give them the direct answer, because I always encouraged, and I mean it. When I say always, means always. Even when I am giving a lecture, or even I'm explaining, I will ask frequent questions. So I always look into the factor that everybody is there sitting with a thinking mind, listening as well as a thinking mind, not just listening and looking mind. Okay, because the thinking mind, so when you are throwing them the questions, that means the brain is functioning continuously, and that is how you can get them into critical thinking. Okay, and you can get them to produce some creativity in their production. So two C's are already getting covered, which is a part of 21st century teaching and learning skills, and it's not so difficult. It just have to be an everyday process. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, June. Well, I have
Yeah,
another
welcome.
question.
Yes, please.
Now, it's about the rules in the classroom. Uh,
Mm-hmm,
Generally, the teacher sets rules in the classroom. Is
mm-hmm.
it necessary that a teacher only should do it all the time, or there can be a coordination between teacher and learner in making rules for the classroom?
I'm glad you've asked this question. And this one question, which is always asked. Okay, there is a notion which says that classroom rules should be only made by the classroom teachers. Yes, I do agree, because if you are working in a daycare center or in early childhood center, you don't expect the toddlers to come and do, sit with you with the rules and regulations. So for very young learners, it is the teacher who must look into the rules. For young learners also, you can sit and prepare the rules, right, the do's and the don'ts. However, when they are reaching the puberty, like if you are teaching adolescents, the high young learners, and further up, you must include the students and come up with the rules. And not just the rules, but as well as the consequences. I don't call it a punishment, so that's not the word to be used anymore. So there is no punishment, it's just the consequences, like you do this and what will be the after effect, that's it. And the reward system. So very often the teachers forget to frame the rewards and the consequences when they are framing the do's and the don'ts. Because when your students are actually keeping with the do's, then what are you actually giving them in return for them to be motivated and them to be consistent? So there has to be some reward system which can be tangible and intangible in nature. And consequences are equally important, because the ones who are not following the rules, they should uh, go through the consequences, because it's not fair on the ones who are following. So you must include them when you are framing the do's and the don'ts, including the rewards and the consequences, because when you are including the students, you are giving them a sense of responsibility. It means the teacher is respecting their opinion, the teacher is listening to what they have to say, right? And when they are actually coming up with their rules, their do's and their don'ts and their reward and consequences, so when they have to go through it, they don't feel it that it's a burden or I'm being penalized, because they had all agreed to it. So it should be a joint decision. Maximum input should be from the teachers, yes, and few should be incorporated from the students' side.
Okay,
It's
well, for
important. And the reiteration, I'm sorry, I forgot, the
Mhm.
reiteration of the rules and regulation must be on and off. It may not be that in the first thing in the morning you're coming and you're just narrating the rules and the do's and the don'ts, but throughout the day you can keep reminding them of some of the do's and the don'ts, but it should be a consistent practice for an effective outcome, and if you really want to minimize the potential problems in the classrooms.
Okay, for adult learners, rules can be
Yeah.
discussed between each other. That's what I have understood from this.
No, it's just not for adults. I've said it very clearly. I said it, hi, young learners,
Yep,
okay? The high
the learners
school
above 12 years.
learners as well as adult. Hmm?
The learners above 12 years.
Sorry?
If I mean correct, the learners
Yes,
above 12 years.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, 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 yes. Sure, sure, absolutely.
Well, that's all for today,
Yes,
June. I'll come up
yes.
with new questions tomorrow. Definitely.
Okay, okay. All right, so that's wonderful. I really enjoyed answering these questions, and I hope our viewers also enjoyed listening to the answers and you found it useful. And if you have, then please do not forget to click on the like button and do not forget to subscribe if you have not subscribed. So, as of now, all right, we are saying bye, only to return with our last video on FAQs, okay? And that will be the last video for this season, right, Fanny? So do
Okay.
not miss out on the last video. And of course, we are going to come up with many more videos on new topics very soon. So here, June and Fanny saying bye to everyone.
Bye.